Hello and welcome. Today, I'm going to do a movie recap regarding 2019 Canadian science fiction action film entitled Code 8. The film is about a man with superpowers who works with a group of criminals to raise money to help his sick mother. Warning: spoilers ahead. I hope you enjoy the movie recap. The movie starts in the 20th century. Superpowered human beings became an essential part of the workforce, known as powers, and the government has invited people with special abilities to register their abilities. They quickly become a key component of the economy, notably in constructing Lincoln City as the city of tomorrow. However, powers are marginalized in the face of increasing mechanization. Due to the lack of opportunities for powered citizens, crime syndicates, called the Trust, have begun exploiting them in different ways. They have been extracting the spinal fluid of powered humans to create a highly addictive drug called psych. Police departments begin using advanced drones, named Guardians, and facial recognition software to combat power-related crime, while a citywide powers ban is debated. Connor Reed, played by Robbie Amell, a 26-year-old Class 5 electric, tries to earn a living by working as a temporary labor at construction sites, while applying for a more permanent job. After a job interview, he went straight to a construction site, if the foreman could use another electric. The foreman agrees to let him work, but the police soon arrive to inspect the location, and to make sure powers are not being used. They order the workers to look up, so that the drone can detect if they're powered. The cops order the laborers with powers to leave, and get a permit, if they want to keep working. As the investigation continues, one of the workers has an arrest warrant. While the cops are arresting the worker, he emits fire from his hands, and tries to escape. Guardians soon drop down from the drone, and shoot him, until he's dead. Elsewhere in Lincoln City, the police conducted a drug raid. The Guardian breaks down the door, but the robot gets disabled when the suspect, a Class 4 Brawn, hurls a disc towards it, hitting it on its neck. The suspect tries to escape through the window, but Officer Park, played by Sun Kang, enters the room and threatens to shoot him. As they search the place, an officer discovers a room filled with superpowered individuals being drained for their spinal fluid. The police also found multiple bags of psych in the apartment, linked to a crime lord named Marcus Sutcliffe. Connor visits his mom at the grocery, Mary, played by Carrie Matchett, whom being scolded by her boss, because she accidentally froze the sauce and dropped it on the ground. Mary, cryokinetic, who has brain cancer that causes her abilities to sometimes act erratically. Connor gets angry by how Dave speaks to his mother, and almost uses his powers. However, the boss tells both of them to get out of the store. Connor then urges his mom to start chemo while driving home, but Mary tells him that they can't afford it. The following day, while Connor waits for a side job, he notices a truck from Lincoln Power. His friend, Travis, played by Jai Jones, warns him not to get involved with them, because they're part of Sutcliffe's crew. The van approaches them, and the driver tells them he's looking for an electric, but only Class 2 or above. Connor hesitates at first, but he eventually approaches the vehicle, and tells the driver that he wants $200 up front. The driver, Garrett, played by Stephen Amell, agrees, and tells him to get in the van. Inside the van, a mute brawn, named Freddy, played by Vlad Alexis, tells him to put on a safety vest. They go to chemical plant, and Garrett tells Connor to disable an electric fence. Connor tries to use a bolt cutter to cut the wires, but he was taken aback by the electric shock, so he decided to overload it. A pyrokinetic, named Maddie, played by Laisla de Oliveira, melts the lock, allowing the van to enter the plant. As they load chemical barrels onto their truck, a guard arrives and tries to call for backup. Garrett uses his telekinetic power to take his radio, so the guard yields and tells them he didn't see anything. As they leave the site, the police received an alert. Connor tells Garrett to pay him, but he says that the job's not yet finished. The drone spots their van, but the cops realize that the color doesn't match the description, so they continue searching elsewhere. Garrett drives the van into a garage, and asks a man named Rhino, played by Simon Northwood, to take them to Sutcliffe, who has the power to read minds. Inside the club, Wesley Cumbo, representative of the Trust, grill Marcus Sutcliffe, played by Greg Brick, for his failure to pay on time. Cumbo tells him that he has a week to pay what he owes. After they left, Garrett introduces Connor to Sutcliffe. Sutcliffe reads Connor's mind, and figures that he will be helpful to his crew. A woman named Nia, played by Kyla Kane, shows Connor around, and offers him a drink, but Connor declines, as he is only passing through. Meanwhile, Sutcliffe tells Garrett that he can't pay for the chemicals, since he needs to pay the trust. Garrett tells him that Connor's electric is strong, which they can use in the next job, but he needs to train him. Garrett then drops Connor off and gives him another $300 as a bonus. He tells him to wait at the same place again tomorrow to earn more money, and let him know that he should not waste his talent. At home, Mary tells Connor that she went back to the grocery to get her job back, since they don't have much choice, because they need the money. The next day, Travis advises Connor to be careful when he does a job with Sutcliffe's men. Soon the foreman from last time arrives, looking for 2 electrics, but Connor sees Garrett's car and decides to go with Garrett instead. Garrett wants to about who he's working with, so he asked him why he decided to work with them. Connor reveals that he needs the money to pay for his mom's treatment. Garrett decides to test his ability by shorting a car's alarm outside the diner. As Garrett activates the alarm, Connor asks Garrett how much he would get when he joins them. Garrett tells him he'll receive $25,000 and deactivates the car's alarm after. Garrett soon starts training Connor by asking him to light a bulb. Soon Connor can keep a bulb lit without blowing it up. Garrett tests Connor's strength by pinning him against another electric, who refuses to pay him. The man blasts Connor with electricity, but it doesn't have much effect on him. Connor brings the man down with a stronger jolt to his chest. One night, Connor decides to visit Dave at the grocery and threatens him. At home, Connor lies to his mom that he was accepted for a permanent job. Outside the house, Park and his partner are on a stakeout, observing Connor, since he might be the possible electric who shored the fence. They learn from his records that he has no permanent work and struggles to pay for his mom's medical bills. That being said, they include him on the list of persons of interest. The following day, Connor and Garrett visit a bank to observe their routine and find out the location of the security cameras, as well as the vault. Meanwhile at the grocery, Mary is puzzled by Dave's behavior, since he is much nicer to her, and even goes out of his way to do her tasks. That night, the gang enters the bank, as Connor heads straight to the vault to short the power, preventing the bank from locking it remotely. As the alarm sounds off, they asked an employee to open the vault manually. Garrett threatens her as she dials the combination, but Connor tries to calm her down. When the vault opens, Garrett becomes furious, as he finds out that most of the money is gone. The employee tells them that the bank already cleared the vault earlier that day. As they escape, the drones are already waiting for them. Connor then hits the drones with a surge, sending the drone to the ground. They drive back to club and inform Sutcliffe that they only managed to take $50,000. As they continue to argue, Copperhead approaches them and shoots Sutcliffe. Rhino then blocks the projectiles with his bulletproof body, so Copperhead decides to aim a gun at Nia Slash. Connor blasts the weapon out of her hand, so she starts coming after him. But Rhino shoots her down and walks towards her to shoot her more. Later, Connor wonders why Cumbo's assassin went after her. Nia reveals that the assassin tried to get her because of her healing abilities. When Connor gets home, Mary confronts him about the money he kept in his drawer. While he explains, his mother suddenly collapses to the ground. At the hospital, the doctor tells Connor that the tumor is pressing her brain against the skull, and they need to operate right away. As he inquires the cost of the surgery, he finds out that he can't afford it. Outside, Connor is greeted by the 2 officers and invites him to the police stations. Park asks him about the robbery at the chemical plant and the bank, but Connor says he doesn't know anything. After getting out of the station, Garrett picks up Connor up on the street. Connor swears that he didn't say a thing to the police and tells Garrett to take him to Sutcliffe because he has an idea for a job. When they arrive at the garage, Sutcliffe reads Connor's mind and confirms that he didn't reveal anything. Garrett suggests intercepting the police as they transport the psych to the incineration site. In exchange, Sutcliffe will hand over Nia to him to use her to cure his dying mom. Garrett strikes a deal of his own, asking 50% of what they'll get. Sutcliffe agrees, saying Garrett earned it. As they plan for the Hezit, Connor insists that no law enforcement should get killed. He then approaches Nia and promises to let her go when she heals his mom. But Nia snaps at him, telling him that she only matters to him is because of her abilities. On the day of the heist, the gang prepares the roadblocks and watches out for the armored van. Drones follow the van, but eventually fall back once they reach the no-fly zone. The driver sees the roadblock and takes a detour. Maddie and Freddie follow the van in their car as Garrett blocks it with a garbage truck. As the driver yells at him to move his vehicle, Garrett tries to stall, allowing Connor to build up his power. Connor finally hits the van with a powerful surge, knocking out the Guardians. Garrett uses his telekinetic powers to keep the Guardians incapacitated, while Connor shorts the Guardian circuits. Maddie burns a hole through the armored van, big enough for Freddy to drop a tear gas inside the cops, and exit the vehicle as they choke. After failing to receive any response from the van, the drone decides to enter the no-fly zone. Maddie takes the cases from the guards, and hands them over to Rhino. The guards beg them to let them go, but Rhino's men start shooting them. As Maddie turns to see what happened, Rhino shoots her in the back. Garrett moves Freddy out of the way with telekinesis to protect him, as Rhino and his men shoot at them. Rhino then takes off, leaving 2 of his men to deal with Garrett and his crew, but more Guardians arrive at the site, allowing the group to run. As they escape, Freddy realizes that a bullet hits him, so Garrett carries him to the car. Rhino arrives at the bar, and when Nia asks where the others are, he ignores her question. He can't let her leave, because her father still owes him. Upon learning that Freddy had died, Connor blames Garrett's greed for the disastrous outcome of the heist. Connor visits his mom at the hospital, and promises her that he'll find a way to get treatment for her. Mary, however, asked him to stop what he's doing, and just let her go. Meanwhile, Park is walking along the park with her daughter Lena. Travis approaches him to give him a message from Connor. Park then meets with Connor at a diner to find out what he wants, but he insists that it's too late for a deal. Connor will turn himself in, but he wants to help them catch Sutcliffe first. At the bar, Sutcliffe starts coughing erratically, so Nia starts to treat him, when suddenly the power shuts down, and the police starts firing at them. During the shootout, Sutcliffe escapes with Nia and Rhino, which leads them to the garage. Garrett waits them there, and shoots at them, hitting Sutcliffe in the chest. Rhino tries to fire back, but Garrett uses his telekinetic powers to knock the gun out of his hand. Connor soon arrives to blast Rhino with electricity. Meanwhile, Sutcliffe tries to point his gun at Nia, as he asks her to save him. As Rhino strangles Connor, Garrett takes a sharp metal tool and stabs Rhino in the eye. Connor then finishes him off by shooting a jolt of electricity through his head. Nia approaches Sutcliffe, but instead of healing him, she takes his gun. Garrett uses his telekinetic power to strangle Sutcliffe. Connor tells Nia that she'll be free to go when she heals his mom. Nia, however, shows him the wound on his arm as a result of healing him. She tells Connor that she could die if she treats his mother. Despite her objection, Connor still takes Nia to the hospital. Nia touches Mary to heal her, but Connor soon stops her after seeing that she's struggling. When Mary wakes up, Connor approaches her and holds her hand as her life fades. At the police station, Connor gives Nia the tank to take her wherever she needs to go, as he will turn himself in. After the tragic, government proposed an outright ban on the use of powers in the Lincoln City. The movie ends with Garrettson meets with Cumbo, paying him twice they owe. Connor then stops by his mom's grave, saying he won't be able to visit her for a while. Meanwhile, Nia finally pays her dad a visit in prison, smiling at him, as she looks forwards to a new beginning. I hope you enjoy another episode of our movie recap. Until next time.